Everybody. This is Rick Saltarelli with Salty Breeze Cruise Planners with the very first installment of Beyond Your Front Door. This is a weekly travel presentation that we're going to do, and we're going to bring on some of our favorite vendors so that we can have a little chat with them and see what they can tell us about the travel industry. Today I have with me Seth Grunes. He is the Business Development Director with Carnival Cruise Lines. Thank you so much, Seth, for joining us today. How are you?
I'm great, Rick. Thanks for having me. How are you doing today?
We're doing pretty good. Can't complain. The weather is nice. And of course, we live in Florida, as I know you do. So we have good weather all the time.
Yeah, it's beautiful here.
So we're going to jump right into it. As I mentioned at the top, you are with Carnival Cruise Lines and you are a business development director, but you haven't always lived in Florida, I don't think. Where are you from originally?
Oh, well, I'm originally from New Jersey, and I came to Florida a long time ago for college. And so I moved to Miami. I was there for quite a while, and now I'm here in the Tampa area. So I've been here about 20 years.
Very nice. I bet you don't miss the snow.
I don't, but I like to go back every once in a while.
Sure. So how long have you been with Carnival Cruise Lines?
This October, it'll be 14 years, if you can believe that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
quite a while.
And have you always been in sales?
I have. I started in the same department, and you know what they say, time flies when you're having fun, and it's definitely true. I can't believe it's been 14 years.
Yeah, that's incredible. And so what attracted you to the travel industry in general in the first place?
So my grandmother was a travel agent, and she had her own travel agency in New Jersey for many years. She's also from South America. She's lived all over South America and the Caribbean. So we've always grown up going to different countries and different places. But uh, when I was in college, one of my friends started working at Carnival, and she thought it would be a great fit for me because I like to explore and meet new people. So I started this. This is my first job in the travel industry, and I've been here ever since.
So that's interesting. I did not know that you had a travel agency history in your background. That's very interesting. So what kind of specialties did she do?
I think it was a lot of like tickets to parks and flights back then. She did sell cruises. They were a full service travel agency, but that was before the internet really was big and before there were phone numbers that you could call and different companies you could call directly. So even if you wanted to book a flight from New York to Los Angeles, you had to go through her.
Oh, sure. Yeah, things were very different then. You're attracted to the travel industry and your friend in college kind of talked to you about Carnival, but was there something else about cruising in general that really appealed to you back then, 14, 15 years ago?
So to be honest, Rick, I'm one of those people that I had no idea what cruising was about. And so since I didn't know anything about it, I had never heard about it from any of my friends or family. I had no idea, no interest. So my friend, when she thought it would be a good fit, she invited me on the ship for lunch, which we sometimes do that. And I walked on that ship and I was blown away. I was so impressed by everything that I saw, the way that people were greeting us, that people showing up with their suitcases and bathing suits. I thought it was just like a hotel, like a row of rooms, and that's all it was. I didn't know there were dining rooms and show lounges and casinos and all that great stuff that we have on board. So after that day that we had lunch and she toured me around and showed me the pools and the slides and all that great stuff and all those amenities we have, I was hooked. And I think I applied for a job like 2 months later.
Yeah, that's a great story because I think that really happens to a lot of first-time cruisers. They really don't know what to expect, and some of them have had kind of, not really knowing, so maybe a little tentative about going on their first cruise. But we have seen this time and time again that the first time they step on board the ship, they are absolutely stunned with everything that is available, everything that's available. So that's
Yeah, there's
very interesting. Yeah, so I know we're talking about travel, but I know you have some pets. I know you have some cats. And so what do you do with your pets when you're traveling? Because that might be a helpful tip for other people that have pets as well.
right. I hear that from a lot of my friends that they don't want to go on vacation because they're afraid or they don't want to leave their animals. So I have two cats right now, a fish tank and a dog. So the dog, either my dad will watch him, I'll take him over to his house, or my neighbors across the street have been watching him usually. It's a lot easier. So I've just found that if you ask a friend, and especially if you have a good pet, most people don't mind watching my dog. But there's also companies like Rover, not that I'm advocating any specific one, but there's pet sitting services also that are really good. You can actually interview the pet sitter and see if it would be a proper fit. The cats are typically good staying by themselves for 4 or 5 days, and I'll have another neighbor just come in and check on them. And the fish. So yeah, I haven't had a problem. I've been traveling the whole 14 years I've been at Carnival, and it's always worked out. My cats
Sure.
are so old.
That's amazing. And so I know you've been on a lot of cruises yourself over the 14 years, both as a an employee of Carnival, but also as a tourist. You've gone. So do you have a favorite itinerary?
That's a hard one. I love going to the Caribbean and some of the different islands that you don't normally hear about. Like getting to go to Curacao, Bonaire, Aruba. I love that part of the Caribbean, Southern Caribbean. But I really like Alaska. I am a cold weather type person, so I like nature. I like a lot the cooler breeze, being able to see the whales and all the great things you see up there, and just how beautiful it is. So Alaska was something that was probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, I can't argue with you about that. Even coming from New Jersey, and I am originally from Canada, but going to Alaska, you get the opportunity to see wildlife that you may not see where you live. Definitely to get to see glaciers, which we don't get to see, and to see those really high mountains. I've seen high mountains before, but to see all of that in a 7 night cruise is an amazing experience for anybody. And I know that for those that live here in Florida, they can't see any of those things. So they have to go to Alaska to experience all those things. So Alaska is very popular with Floridians, as I think you know.
And it's so quiet and peaceful too, like cruising through the fjords where you're just surrounded by mountains and clean air.
Yeah, I agree. We actually, even though we're from Canada and we're used to those late sunsets going, the in Alaska was even much more so. I remember sitting on our balcony at 11 o'clock at night and the sun was still quite high in the sky. So amazing experience. And if you were chatting to a first time cruiser and they were wondering what they should do to prepare for their first cruise, what kind of advice would you give them?
So preparing, I would say, talk to you because you're going to give them the best advice on what to pack, what to bring, what to leave home. But also try to experience everything that you can. So when you're on board, pay attention to the announcements and all the different programs that we have. And because if you go to something and you don't like it or it's not interesting to you, you can always leave. We don't keep you hostage or we don't keep you, captive in a show. So go to the show, and then if you wanted to go to the comedy show, you can step out and go see that. Then you can go play in the casino for a little bit. If there's some kind of dancing competition, go see that. We have different talks and workshops. Same with the dining. Try the main dining one night, try specialty or buffet another night. But my thing is to always try something at least once. That way, you know if you like it or don't like it. And for those of us that cruise a lot, how many times have you been on a cruise, same cruise line, so many times, and you still learn something new every time that you didn't know that they did? So definitely try to have an open mind and take in as much as you can.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. And the one thing I will add, because I do have people that say to me, well, I really don't want to go to a certain port anymore. And I tell people that I've been to Nassau 12 to 15 times. I've been to Cozumel 20 times, and I find something to do different every time I go. So cruising brings you that great experience of getting a little bite-sized taste of a destination. And if you are open-minded, you will find something to do every time you go back to that destination over and over again. So
So
that's
true.
good for people to remember. And I'm going to end off with my very last question. If you were not working for Carnival Cruise Lines in the travel industry, do you think you would be doing otherwise?
Ooh, that's a good question. I wanted to be a marine biologist, so that's what I originally went to school for because I love the sea and the coral reefs and fish. But then when I was in college, I found out it really wasn't for me, but it would probably be something to do with animals in some kind of form or another.
Sure.
But I love animals and nature. So,
Well,
but
that would be a very noble profession. I know there's a lot of people that work in animal rescue and marine rescue here in the state of Florida. So if you I hope that you're with Carnival for a very long time. It's a great company, one of our favorite partners to work with. And we love having you with our BDMs. I want to thank you once again. Thank you very much for being with us here today. And we'll look forward to having you back on the show again.
all right. Thanks so much, Rick.
Thank you. Have a great week.